Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Ned Reynolds, Mike the intern, back in the studio on a Thursday morning. Couple college basketball teams are headed out to try and get all that postseason glory today. Is that right, Ned?
We will start the long road to what everyone hopes will be championship-level glory. These are the conference tournaments that begin. For the Drury Lady Panthers, they are 27-1 on the year, 27 wins, 1 loss. They are number 2 in America, and they'll begin their conference tournament play in St. Charles, Missouri at Lindenwood University. First round opponent at 6 tonight is Quincy, and the Lady Panthers should be able to win that game. Now, further in St. Louis at the Enterprise Center is the Missouri Valley Conference tournament opener, and for the Missouri State Bears, they have the last game on the first night agenda. It tips off allegedly at 8:30. Probably won't be. It'll be later than that because these games normally run a little bit longer. But the Bears' first-round opponent is Illinois-Chicago. If the Bears win, well, let's say when the Bears win, then they'll play again tomorrow night at 8:30, and their opponent is already known then. It will be Southern Illinois. There are 4 teams that get a first-round bye, 8 teams that have to play in the first round, and the Bears are one of those teams that have to play. Begin tonight versus Illinois-Chicago, a team Missouri State has beaten twice this year, but it won't be easy. Illinois-Chicago is a pretty good basketball team coming on and getting a whole lot better.
It's going to be tough for those guys, and hopefully they can figure it out.
If they play consistently, and if they play like they did last Sunday against Indiana State, yes, they can do a lot of things. But, Mike, this is 4 games in 4 days, and I don't care what great condition you're in. That's a tough road to go.
Oh, yeah, it is. Well, we'll see what happens. Wishing them all the luck today. All right, so with the first week in March underway, that means we've got the state basketball championships, don't we?
They are next weekend, not this coming, but next weekend and the following weekend. The smaller schools, classes 1, 2, and 3, play the competition, the state competition, at the Great Southern Bank Arena here in town, March 9th, 10th, and 11th. So 3 days. Because of the numbers of schools involved, they have to apportion it in 3 days. And the consolation round games, third-place games, will be played just up the alleyway a little bit in the Hammond Student Center. So plenty of basketball. Then the larger schools follow there the following weekend, March the 16th, 17th, and 18th. So it's really great competition. And Mike, I urge the area fans to get out and see the state championships because this is the last year they'll be in Springfield for at least the next 5.
That's what I was about to say. If you want to enjoy state basketball championship action, you better get your butt out and do it because it ain't going to be here for a long time.
Really great teams should be down here, especially looking forward to seeing Vashon out of St. Louis. They're one of the nation's top teams, and they should be able to get through their districts and their sections.
Absolutely. Last but not least, of course, we're still in spring training, and how'd our teams do yesterday?
Cardinals had the day off. It's not rest and relaxation, I assure you, because they're all going through some very stringent drills. But the Royals did play, and they scored 5 times in the 9th inning. This is interesting to me because in the previous game against the Cleveland Guardians the day before, the Royals scored 6 runs in the 9th inning and won their game. This time, Kansas City scores 5 times in the 9th and beat the Colorado Rockies 8-6. So Kansas City continues to play well in spring training. Is it an illusion? It has been in the last 3 or 4 years because they played well and not come out and played well during the regular season. It's a long, long, long way to go. We'll see what happens.
You think they're showing their hand a little too early?
I don't think it's so much that. No, I think what they're doing is playing a lot of their youngsters who are going to be regulars this season and getting them ready while the other teams are doing a lot of experimenting. You can't really tell what, under the Florida sun or the Arizona sun, you can't tell too much about the strength of these teams.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, but plenty of baseball left to come just in spring training alone. Yeah. And then we got the U.S. Basketball Classic in there, too. Somehow I just forget about it. Where are we going to watch baseball on TV, Ned?
What a great question that is, too. The whole circumstance is this. Valley Sports and AT&T Regional Sports look like they are going under. And to really solidify that thought, Major League Baseball has now formulated a new committee. It's called the Media TV Committee. Now, this never existed before, but it does now, which leads you to believe that Major League Baseball thinks these regional sports networks are going under. And really, in very short order, they might. They all owe billions and billions and billions of dollars in debt. For instance, Bally Sports, they are almost $10 billion in debt. Now, how this is going to resolve itself, they're still in a 30-day grace period since they missed their great big interest payment. But Major League Baseball thinks this isn't going to work. So they're planning on pulling the plug on the contracts that they have, which apparently they have the right to do. And they're going to formulate their own. They're going to send Major League Baseball people out to sell their own rights. Now, why has this happened? Because the general public's pulling the plug on cable systems and satellite and so forth and so on. So what will they do? That, in and of itself, is a very good question. I read a little comment yesterday from some of the committee members that what they might do is go to these local cities like St. Louis and come down here to Springfield and sell them to local cable outlets. Well, what good does that do if everybody's pulled the plug on it? Well, everybody hasn't. But somehow, some way, they'll, I think, come up with a streaming process. And that's how it's probably going to be done. And it could be this season. These payments that the regional sports networks are to make to the teams, for instance, the Cardinals make $60 million a year. $60 million a year up until 2032, I think, is when the contract's up. They're going to miss that. Now, what part of that is their budget? Well, it's not a major part of it, but I promise you, $60 million going, they'll notice it real quick. And that goes to player salaries and things like that. We may be, Mike, and this is just a thought process, seeing the end of the line of these massive contracts that used to be signed, up until last year. Scherzer and Mike Trout and people like this getting billions and billions of dollars. Same can be said for the National Football League, although their TV contract is a little bit more solid than Major League Baseball's. But still, the days of the big salaries might just be coming to an end.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been a sleeper that comes up like an ESPN and said, hey, heard you're having a little bit of problems. We'll buy that, but it's not going to be that much.
Well, that's just
you know what I mean?
ESPN is not particularly rolling in cash themselves.
No.
Well, they're not bankrupt, certainly, but they've had their limitations, too.
It's tough. I mean, you're talking about a sport that's got over 160 games, and it's extremely saturated. I mean, that's not to discredit what baseball is, but when you are trying to capitalize on that in your viewership, sometimes doing all these streaming things are making guys that are it makes it too hard for people, and they're like, screw it, I just won't mess with it then.
Well, that is true. That can happen. I'm not going to fool with that at all. And then they might say, well, I've got to make a 200-mile trip up to St. Louis. In the old days, yes, we would. Newer days,
You know who's benefiting? The bars. That's who's benefiting.
Thank you,
and Ned knows all about that. All right, so local prep basketball, did we have any we got some big playoff games come through last night, didn't we?
Last night was a huge night in area teams. Not almost. All the Springfield teams did play last night. Down in Ozark. Ozark is the Class 6 district site. Nixon, now this is how interesting things can be in prep or in any basketball for that matter. Nix is the number 1 seed. They played Ozark, which was the number 8 seed, the last place team. Nixa won 57-55. Oh my goodness. A loss in that game or loss anytime, and they're out. One loss and you're gone in this competition. Nixa got a win. Joplin defeated Springfield Central. Kickapoo was a winner. Republic was a winner over Neosho. And in lower classes, and these two teams, Parkview and Glendale and Hillcrest, are lower class teams. They're Class 5. Parkview won, Glendale won, Hillcrest won, Logan Rogersville got a very big victory, and Springfield Catholic came away with a win. So for the most part, in the first round of these districts, actually it's called the quarterfinal round, the Springfield area schools came away very well.
Good to see that, and definitely got some more heavy competition coming up for these guys. Big time. College basketball regular season is starting to wind down. There's the games that we've got left is through Saturday, and that's it, right?
That is correct. Through Saturday, and then the regular season comes to an end, and the conference tournaments all begin next week. So Missouri played last night. Missouri went down and played LSU in Baton Rouge. Missouri is a pretty good basketball team. But Coach Gates has to keep them motivated the entire time. He did not have them motivated in the first half. And LSU, which in all honesty is an inferior team to Mizzou, got ahead by 19 points. They were hitting everything in sight, but Missouri wasn't playing any defense. Missouri did play defense in the second half, and it is a very aggressive trap ball-stealing defense. Came roaring back, and Mizzou won the game, coming from 19 points down. Missouri defeated LSU 81-76. Now Mizzou does have one more game remaining, and then it's on to the Southeastern Conference Tournament. Your guys got a big win. Kansas State playing Oklahoma.
What I'm talking about.
K-State 85, Oklahoma 69. Alabama's playing Auburn. Alabama's number 2 in America, playing in Tuscaloosa. Auburn took them right to the wire in overtime, and Alabama won it by 5. And then the Kentucky Wildcats, who I thought were coming on, lose at home to Vanderbilt, 68-66. You never can tell what's going to happen.
Hell no, but they all got to play at least one more time, and hopefully my Wildcats can get that win coming out. Should be good, but that just means madness is going to be here in a couple weeks, my guy. You have a great day, sir, and I will see you tomorrow.